It began like a moment no one expected. A simple weekday ProAm event tucked inside a quiet stretch of morning. The kind of environment that usually passes unnoticed and unmentioned. But the moment Caitlin Clark's name appeared on the participant list, something shifted in the atmosphere long before she arrived. It wasn't the sound of golf carts or the chatter of early spectators that signaled the change. It was the unmistakable hum of anticipation building in waves from one side of the course to the other. By sunrise, families were already walking in with folding chairs. College students squeezed along rope lines as if waiting for a front row seat at a championship. Older fans who had followed her Iowa journey clutched homemade signs and jerseys, staking out a spot as though history might happen right in front of them. From every possible angle, the fairway was transforming into something entirely different from a traditional Pro-Am. Volunteers kept glancing around in disbelief, whispering to one another that they had never seen anything like this crowd for an event like this. Not on a weekday, not for a crossover cameo, and certainly not hours before the athlete had even arrived. The fences were already lined, the walkways thick with clusters of excited fans, and the open grass behind the warm-up area began filling faster than anyone could manage. Whatever this was supposed to be, it had suddenly become much bigger. By the time Caitlin Clark finally appeared in the distance, the cheers rolled across the course like a wave breaking onto shore. Even the camera crews who thought they knew what to expect found themselves stunned by the sheer number of people who had gathered just for her warm-up. Every small movement she made, every practice swing, every smile, even the way she adjusted her glove sent new ripples of cheers echoing outward as more cameras pivoted toward her. It wasn't just a crowd, it was a phenomenon, a pop culture moment disguised as a golf event, a reminder that some athletes carry an energy that follows them into any space they enter, regardless of sport, setting, or expectation. Yet, as the excitement reached a fever pitch on the ground, something else was brewing online. Before she even completed her first practice swing, critics began to surface. The louder the cheers grew, the more agitated her detractors became. Clips of the massive turnout spread fast across social platforms, and within minutes, the comment sections were flooded with frustration. Some people insisted the attention was excessive. Others said the fans were acting like they were watching a celebrity instead of an athlete, and a few complained that the entire crowd was overhyped. What should have been a fun, lighthearted moment had suddenly turned into a cultural battleground, and the reaction revealed far more than anyone expected. As footage flooded the internet, the numbers behind the moment became impossible to ignore. Millions of views in hours, millions more in days. People who had no interest in golf clicked on clips just to figure out what the noise was about. Even neutral observers admitted they had rarely seen this kind of turnout for a Pro-Am warm-up, not even for established celebrities. But instead of acknowledging the reality in front of them, the critics only grew more defensive. They said fans were doing too much. They claimed the attention was ridiculous. They argued that the excitement was overshadowing other players in the event. The backlash was quick, loud, and filled with the same exhausted arguments that had followed Caitlin Clark for months. What they couldn't understand, or perhaps refused to accept, was the simple truth unfolding in real time. Caitlin Clark's popularity was not manufactured. It was not exaggerated. It was not hype created by networks or media executives. It was real, organic, and powerful enough to transform an ordinary golf event into something unforgettable. On the course, the energy only grew stronger. Kids wearing her basketball jersey held miniature golf clubs and waved as she passed. Parents pointed toward her and whispered stories about the games they had watched. The buzzer beaters, the crossovers, the long threes that felt impossible until she made them look routine. Even people who weren't diehard fans found themselves swept into the excitement, clapping and laughing as they watched her take warm-up swings with a relaxed smile. She didn't try to create a spectacle. She didn't ask for cameras or attention. She simply existed in the moment, and the moment responded. But as the day continued, the tension online escalated. One clip in particular set critics off. A simple video of Caitlin walking toward the tee box while the crowd roared in a way usually reserved for championship arenas. Nothing dramatic happened. She didn't make a shot. She didn't pull off any highlight moment. She just walked, and still, the reaction from fans was deafening. This single clip exposed what her critics feared most: organic popularity, real support, genuine connection. It wasn't orchestrated. It wasn't forced. It wasn't paid for. They couldn't spin it, and they couldn't stop it. Meanwhile, analysts and sports personalities chimed in with bewildered amusement. Some pointed out how rare it was for an athlete to draw crossover attention like this. Others commented on how refreshing it was to see someone bring new energy into a long-standing sport. A few joked that she had brought more excitement to a weekday Pro-Am than some athletes manage over entire seasons. But while the commentary amused many, it aggravated her critics even more. They had spent months arguing that her popularity was inflated, that her fan base was obsessive, that she wouldn't draw crowds outside basketball. Yet here she was, in a completely different arena, not just matching the hype but amplifying it. All of that online noise only intensified the moment that soon followed, one that would push everything into overdrive. During one of her putts, Caitlin Clark lined up for a long-distance shot that most amateurs would hesitate to attempt. The green stretched ahead of her, the slope angled at a sharp degree, and the distance alone made it the kind of shot you hit with hope rather than confidence. The crowd fell silent. She took a slow breath, settled into her stance, and tapped the ball with a smooth, effortless motion. At first, the trajectory looked routine, perhaps even doomed to roll shy of the cup. But then the ball began to drift, turning with perfect pace, tracing a line so clean that it felt scripted. And then it happened, the ball dropped directly into the cup. The explosion of cheers was instant, shaking the air like a stadium erupting after a game-winning shot. Fans shouted her name. People covering their mouths laughed in disbelief. Cameras zoomed in just in time to capture her stunned reaction, a mix of embarrassment, joy, and pure disbelief. The clip didn't just go viral. It detonated, millions of views surged, and commentators analyzed the arc of the putt. Fans shared the video in every direction. Even people who barely followed sports watched it repeatedly, just for the thrill of the moment. It was the kind of highlight that doesn't need context or explanation. It simply lives in people's imaginations. For her critics, however, the viral putt was gasoline poured onto a fire already burning out of control. They scrambled for explanations. They argued it was luck. They insisted the reaction was overblown. They claimed the cameras focused too much on her. None of it mattered. The footage spoke for itself. The energy was real. The excitement was genuine. Every attempt to downplay the moment only made the clip spread faster. And every bitter comment only made fans respond louder. While the haters fumed online, Caitlin kept doing what she always does, smiling, engaging with fans, and making moments feel special without trying. She walked the course alongside Lexi Hull and Sophie Cunningham, laughing with them and joking like it was a normal Tuesday afternoon instead of one of the internet's biggest trending topics. Fans loved their chemistry, capturing clips of the trio walking shoulder to shoulder, but her critics twisted even these lighthearted interactions into complaints, saying they were being childish or making the event about themselves, even though the entire tournament had welcomed them with open arms. Still, the more critics complained, the more obvious their jealousy became. People on the ground were having fun. Families were cheering. Kids were smiling. The event felt warm, genuine, and energized in a way most weekday tournaments never experience. But critics clung to their arguments because the truth scared them. Caitlin Clark's influence wasn't fading. It was growing, faster than ever. The breaking point arrived with the simplest moment of the entire day. Clip of Caitlin just walking back toward the tee box. No swing, no highlight, no trick shot. Just walking, and the crowd erupted with the kind of organic enthusiasm that proved everything her detractors tried to deny. This was popularity that could not be controlled, could not be dismissed, could not be explained away. It wasn't a network promoting her. It wasn't the WNBA depending on her. It wasn't Iowa fans alone. It was thousands of everyday people choosing to cheer for someone they genuinely admired. The clip spread like wildfire, and for her critics, it was a kind of nightmare. They argued the crowd was obsessed. They said it was embarrassing. They claimed the reaction was staged even, though multiple angles showed the exact same spontaneous excitement. Every excuse fell apart. Every argument collapsed under the weight of undeniable evidence. Caitlin Clark had become something rare, an athlete whose presence alone transformed the atmosphere. As the internet storm continued, an unexpected twist dropped like a final blow. Dave Portnoy publicly extended an invitation for tea.